through everyone's, we'll go through everyone's names. Caitlin Stafford. Michelle Horton.
Present.
Mike Henshin. Eileen Flynn.
Here.
Howard Fisher. James Zarsky.
Here.
Essie Snell.
Here.
Lisa Skumats. Jonathan Koffler.
Here.
Perfect. We do have a quorum.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda that anyone would like to make? Or propose, I guess? You can go down. It's a little hard to see the screen at the moment.
Frankly, study it now.
I can,
Is there
if you guys are okay, I can turn the backlights off.
Sure, that'd be great, thanks.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, that's much.
And then you can also make it bigger at the top if you'd like.
Okay.
Sure. It's a good meeting.
Cool. Let's see, so we'll move on to public comment.
So if you just want to go ahead and approve that.
Okay, yeah, so motion to approve the agenda.
Yeah, I approve. I approve.
Excellent, unanimous.
All right, so no public comment. Nope. All right, so let's see. Were there any relevant newsletter items beyond the usual stuff that we should?
Yeah, and I actually, because we had so much other stuff on our agenda, I didn't go ahead and pull that up.
Okay.
So it's just pretty much all of the typical things that we go ahead and we put in our town newsletter.
Okay.
So I think those are all still in there. I can give an update on Garden in a Box. Last time the update was we had sold 4, we have now sold 6. And in the April water bills, we did put a blurb in there to send people to the Garden in a Box website to let hopefully more people know about the program. So that's moving right along.
Excellent. And how many available do we have?
50.
50, okay, cool. A tenfold increase.
And yeah, and I do have a couple other like just update things that if you want me to just go ahead and go through those really quickly,
Sure.
we can do that. So just a quick reminder to everyone that we have the board dinner on the 22nd. Mike is not here. I'll reach out to him, or Essie, if you want to reach out to him. The main topic was going to be presenting the scorecard. And so I just wanted to check with the rest of you to see if there was anything else that we wanted to add to the agenda for that evening. I know the scorecard's a pretty big topic, and it does tie into quite a few of our work plan items. So but it's completely up to you guys.
What time is that on the 22nd?
So at 5 p.m. is when that starts.
Is it 5?
Here again?
I will have to double check and send an email. I thought it was 5.
It might be. All the other dinners just start at 5.
5:30? Okay.
I don't think I've seen the agenda, so I could be off.
Do all of us go, or is just a representative?
Yes, no, it's for the entire committee. It's FaceTime with the board. It's an opportunity for you guys to kind of sit down and talk with the Board of Trustees about your work plan. I know that we had scheduled it for the 22nd because we were interested in presenting the scorecard and where we are with that project to the board and kind of get some feedback from them regarding that project.
About how long does that last? Sorry, how long will that last till?
Typically, 45 minutes to an hour.
The board meeting starts at 7. If there's any interviews for committee members, we'll break down 5-10 minutes earlier, so probably end 6:45 or 6:50.
And free tonight.
Yeah. Interviews are pretty good.
Is Mike presenting that then?
Yes.
Was he available for that?
So I know that we've had some correspondence, some email correspondence in regards to that. So I know that he is aware of that, and I'm assuming because he's kind of in the lead on that project that he would be the one that would need to kind of present it.
And I'll unfortunately be out of town then, so I'll let Caitlin cover in my absence.
Okay.
She knows she's covering that.
Not yet, but I'll make sure she's aware.
Okay.
So, and then if the rest of you just want to go ahead and shoot me a quick email on your availability, check your calendars, just let me know. The more, obviously, presence that we have, the better off we are.
I should be able to make that.
Okay.
Don't mark me down.
Will you be able to like email us a reminder?
Yes, absolutely. And typically what I do when the agenda goes out, I'll forward that to you guys as a reminder.
And I just pulled up the tentative agenda, and it's a 5:30 start time.
Perfect.
Cool, thanks.
So then the other thing that I wanted to bring up was you guys had asked in the past for me to reach out to Resource Central in regards to a WaterWise seminar. I don't know if that's something that you want to talk about now during update, new business and updates, or if we want to talk about it down below during the discussions.
Well, we.
So I sent an email out to you guys, yeah.
Then
You want to do it in one of the others?
Yeah, we can do the discussion for the, actually, that's different from the water audit, sorry. Is there a discussion item that would?
There isn't a specific one, but
Okay.
it relates to that because it's a WaterWise seminar.
Okay.
So,
Does anyone have a preference?
now?
Okay, we can discuss now.
So did everyone have a chance to look at that email that I sent out with that information?
Glance at very briefly.
This is a test.
No, it's not a test. I just need to know feedback from you guys regarding what you would like to do with that seminar. If there were some topics that Darren from Resource Central sent out to us. And if you want to discuss that, you can. If everyone just kind of wants to look through it. They did say to me in the email that because of the timing right now that they won't be able to schedule it till June or July. So it would be something that wouldn't be able to happen until then. We can hold it at the
Okay.
sports
So it
center.
doesn't matter if we have them right now, we just need to get it on the schedule and to make sure we review it probably by the next meeting then?
Yeah, yes, I would say we can take until the next meeting, but the sooner the better. The sooner we decide on what we want to do, then I can get that to Darren. Resource Central can get it in the books. They can start looking for a presenter, that type of things.
Can you remind us what the proposed topics were?
Yeah.
If you have that.
Yes, so,
Yeah, it's
and
something we could just bring up.
we can actually pull it, I've got it on the network, so if I just,
I wanted to read it in full and that's what the last time.
If you're easier just to give all the other two.
It's like,
It's like there's a fee for this.
Is there, okay.
Yeah.
So that was the contract.
because that's.
Oh, here it is.
That's fine. Check.
So this is the list of the WaterWise landscape seminars that they offer. So it looks like these are the ones that already are already scheduled in the different communities. Transforming your lawn into a xeriscape garden, H2O overhaul, a WaterWise landscape transformation, how to create WaterWise lawn in Colorado, design the WaterWise garden of your dreams, xeriscapes that bring life to your yard, low water landscaping tips and tricks. And Louisville, obviously we probably wouldn't want to do the same as what Louisville's doing, but design it yourself, how to start a xeriscape garden. Commerce City, how to integrate xeriscape into your existing landscape, and transforming your lawn into a xeriscape garden in Arvada. It looks like there's all kinds of
I think there are, but I know, like, for me, like you guys, a couple jumped out, like transforming your lawn into the xeriscape garden, or what was that other one that was about,
there's transforming your lawn.
what, for your Colorado climate or something like that? How to create WaterWise lawn in Colorado.
Yeah, that could be a good one.
Just because this is kind of that sort of area where people want their lawn.
Yeah.
I like the low water landscaping tips and tricks
Yeah.
too.
I guess my only question would be, is there anything in any of these classes that's going to go against the Rock Creek HOA
So what we,
or guidelines?
yeah, that's
you
an
can't rip your
excellent
lawn.
question, yeah.
Right, that's why I was wondering if water, if
So-
particular.
So when we did the composting seminar, what we did is I believe town staff, it was before my time, so it was set up before I started working here, but when I attended that seminar, that we had information from the HOA, that the HOA president provided to the presenter. So if there was anything that was conflicting, they would know about it. And then the HOA rules and regulations surrounding composting were there available to the participants as well.
Okay.
Just so we made sure that we covered our bases there. So we
Yeah.
would do that again for
Okay.
this.
Sounds good.
In general, none of the three that we pulled out, in just my knowledge of what the HOA, would have an issue. Does that
Okay,
make sense?
I didn't think so, but.
They do support, no, but it's good that she went over that. But yeah,
Okay.
we didn't choose anything that would just be kind of crazy like that, but so that's good.
Okay. So the three we're talking about is how to create water-wise lawn in Colorado. Sorry, which one was the other one?
Low water landscaping tips and
Low
tricks.
water landscaping. And then I also think the butterflies and bees could be of interest to
Oh, that
some
could be.
people. That's a little bit
Yeah.
down, yeah.
And I don't know, yeah, it's just, I like the whole title of how to integrate Xeriscape into, but I don't know, I just think a lot of people aren't really into investing too much into their lawns
Yeah.
and changing it into Xeriscape, I don't know.
Is there a limit on how many of these we can do, or are we
So
paying
that's
for?
another very good question. So in the email that Darren sent down here, it does say the price for a single seminar is $2,000, while each additional seminar is $1,700. And so that would be something that ACES would utilize their funds on.
Okay. And can you remind us what our overall budget is and how much
So
we've been looking at?
for 2019, it was $5,000 and we have not spent anything. I'm
Okay.
doing the decals, but other than that, we haven't spent anything.
Okay.
Karen, can you say, how much was the cost for this?
Single seminar is $2,000, and then if you do additional ones, they're only $1,700.
Okay.
So what I propose, since there are a lot of different topics, is for us all to go through and look at what the details actually are for each session, and then we can figure out which ones are really our top priorities, given that they're reasonably expensive. And then that's something we can discuss in the next meeting, if that sounds okay with everyone.
Because at least we can give him topics to
Yeah.
or think about, okay.
So I think, we can go based on the title, but it might be more helpful to look at the actual content of the sessions before just deciding on one.
It is not cheap.
Yeah.
Yep, and if anyone has misplaced that email, just shoot me an email and I can send it back to you so that you can have that
Excellent, thanks.
for reference.
So when do you need an answer by?
So I think it sounds like what Essie is proposing is that everyone kind of work on it between now and the next meeting, and then at the next meeting, we'll make that final decision.
Okay.
And who did we say was taking notes? Is someone capturing? Eileen, perfect, thank you.
And were there additional updates that you want to share?
Those, let's see, board dinner, garden box, water wise. I believe that's it.
Okay, thanks so much. So we have the Household Hazardous Waste and Hard to Recycle event coming up in a few days. So I just wanted to confirm volunteers and time slots. And I can't remember who volunteered previously.
Yep, so I have Lisa, Jim, and Eileen.
I can do 9 to 10:30.
Okay.
It's 9 till noon, I believe.
It is. And then Jim, you had mentioned that you could be there
Yeah, I can be
for
there
the
full time.
entire time.
Yeah. So,
Perfect, and then Lisa,
Either the entire time or the second half, I guess.
yeah, either way, if you wanted to come at 10:30.
Yep.
Perfect.
Is it the case where we need a certain number of people, or they'll just take?
3 is what we need, so that would be perfect.
Okay.
So that'll work. And then if you guys are interested in more details about the event, Essie down at the bottom in the PDFs there, the red square, it'll say household, the 3 That one, yep, the bottom three. So this is a map of the school and kind of how it works. And the 3 red dots that you'll see on the right-hand side are where committee members will be. And basically, you're just standing there and directing traffic. There's 2 different ways to go, either to the EcoCycle or to Boulder County. And so you'll ask them what they have in their car. We have one of the other items that's in the PDF is a form to kind of keep track, a tally of how many cars we have during each of the hours, what people have in their cars. Lisa, you're familiar with
A
that?
long time survey.
Yes.
Who told you to come? My wife?
Yes. We're going to keep track of all of that, yes. And so that's just, and we will have those maps there that day as well. And then Essie, if you wanted to click on one of the others there from the bottom, that second one, yep, that one. This is a list, you'll have this list, so you can kind of go through the items accepted by Boulder County and the items accepted by EcoCycle, and you can kind of help guide them where they need to go. There's many staff members from Boulder County and from EcoCycle, so if there are other questions that come up, we can get them for their help as well. And then the last one on there would just show you the tally sheet that we take. Whoops, maybe not the last one. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's a Word document. I apologize. There it is. So that's just the count that we keep for that day. And you'll each have one of those.
So we don't need to bring that, that'll be...
No, we'll have those there for you with clipboards.
Just keep them entertained while they're waiting.
Karen said to get there 8:45.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if those of you who are there at the beginning, if you just want to be there at 8:45, and I'm sure, I hope that all of you received the e-blast. So if for any reason there is a cancellation, I don't know what the weather's going to look like. I doubt it, but just watch for those e-blasts from the town.
Do we pay for them to do this, or is this?
The town does. The town takes a portion of it, and I don't know or pays a portion of this. There is a charge on the Boulder County side. I believe that's what it is. And then the town pays the difference.
But it doesn't come out of our fund?
No, not our fund. It's the town fund.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions on the event coming up soon? All right. Thanks, everyone. And then we also wanted to check in about Arbor Day, which is coming up later in the month. And again, confirm volunteers, time slots, and giveaway items.
I can't make that one.
Neither can I.
Okay.
So I had down, from the last time, I had Mike, Essie, and Michelle.
Oh, I was hard maybe. I mean, I'm out of town currently,
Okay.
so it's just
So Michelle's
if I
a no.
don't go out of town, I will be available. Flipping and crying right now.
I think I should be available then, but if I could do half-time rather than full-time, that would be easiest.
What time is that?
It's 10 to noon, so it's just 2 hours. And we were going to recognize the green business is at that event, so it would be nice to have advisory members there to do that.
I can't read that far.
It's Saturday, April 27th.
Thanks.
Let's see if
Okay, well, we can email an email as well in case Mike or
Yeah.
Lynn or others are
Yeah,
available.
put it in the subject line, need someone on out
Yeah.
there, something like
Yeah, I'm
that.
sorry for any inconvenience.
Rather
I'm just trying. It's literally choosing between 2 children.
I suppose.
Doesn't hit my radar until I'm not in an emergency.
And do we have giveaways, or are we just going to continue to give away the LEDs, or do we have other things as well? Or
So we have all of the stuff that we've always had before. I have not purchased anything new. I know Caitlin sent an email that was requesting, I believe, a bag of some sort. Do you remember?
Oh, I think she had talked about some compostable trash bags or something. Oh, it was for yard waste.
That's right.
Yeah, the big paper ones that you get.
Yeah, if that was
Hardware
something we
store?
could do.
Right, so anything that you guys are wanting to order like that, if you want to send me the exact item, and if you have a preferred vendor that you know that makes the specific item, and it's something that obviously is within our budget. Like I said before, we have 5,000, we haven't spent any, we know what the WaterWise seminar is going to cost, so we can kind of keep that in mind. And if you just send me an email, then I would probably need it by early next week in order to get things ordered and here by the 27th.
Okay, so, thanks. Right, any other questions or comments about Arbor Day?
I guess we should probably decide who's gonna send Karen home, so, I mean, I can look it up, I'm actually trying to look it up right now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'm certainly happy to help too.
How many do you think we want as something to at least kind of,
Not sure what commodities we normally get for giveaway items.
what did we buy, do you happen to know offhand, of like the bags that we had before, and I know the LEDs.
Unfortunately, that's before my time, so I
Should have it
don't
somewhere.
have that. I can look it up, definitely. I can go back.
Maybe just so we can have like a rough idea.
Sure.
Because sometimes you can get a better price if you buy
Yeah.
The number and how much we
500.
spent.
Huh?
The number and how much we spent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
helpful.
great, thank you.
What share of our budget goes to the giveaways, whatever. Historic.
Because we don't want like too many, but it could actually be a really useful item, so if it's cheap, maybe buy more.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go ahead and move on into the discussion items then. So first up is the Xcel Energy Partners in Energy Program. We have some people that come and speak to us. So come on up. Do you want us to turn on lights so you can actually see us, so we're not lurking in the shadows?
We do have a presentation, so it will be up
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Continue learning.
I think so, I cannot read it.
I can't, I mean, I figure out my reader.
Well, even with my glasses on, it's blurry.
It's always too small,
Yeah, I think it's just the projector.
Is that
Quite a lot.
Because I'm just like, that's what's desperately need my phone, because it's usually my backpack, so I can get it.
Messaging us to discuss related.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having us just come and speak with you tonight. It's definitely informal, and I want it to be a dialogue, so as questions come up throughout the presentation, just pause and we can stop and discuss them together. So I'm Ellie Troxel. I'm a Partners in Energy Colorado Community Facilitator. And this is Channing.
I'm Channing. I work with Xcel Energy. I support communications for Partners in Energy, in addition to a variety of our residential and business renewable and energy efficiency programs.
So we're just going to talk through different ways that Superior can benefit from participating, and then just any next steps on that point. And as we get started, I just wanted to right-size just what we discussed today around what you all have heard around Xcel Energy's Partners in Energy. Have you just knowledge levels heard about it before? Know of any participating communities? Great.
Yeah, I've heard of it as well.
Okay.
What exactly have you heard?
I know that some of the local communities nearby are participating in it. I know some of them, I believe I've heard, are contributing money as well to it, but
Yeah.
there's a wide variety of different things that the program can offer. And I'm very familiar with Xcel's existing rebate programs and stuff too from IDHL. So.
Pretty much the same as what you said. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah. So we can speak to all those experiences today just with other communities in the area, and just being in Boulder County. We've worked with a lot of communities in Boulder County, as you know. So we have a lot of just contacts and relationships there that we can leverage. But since 2014, which is when Partners in Energy kind of first kicked off, we have over 40 communities actually, so an update to that number there, across Colorado, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So those are the 3 states that we are currently implementing the program in. And we like to track the metrics. One of the benefits of the program is the implementation component and additional support to that. And so across communities, we've seen 7.4 million kilowatt hours of savings, 143,000 therms, over 56,000 participating residences, and nearly 7,000 commercial businesses as well. So broad-ranging impact that we like to track there. But this might be a little bit more informative just in terms of relevant communities that have participated. So the gray are Minnesota, but the blue are Colorado. So I'll just point out the Boulder County communities like Erie and Netherland and others, just that might be a peer community to kind of compare to in terms of how they've approached their participation.
We try to approach things as a cohort approach so that you can learn from other communities that are going through Partners in Energy around the same time that you are, be able to kind of share best practices, share learnings, not only with communities here in Colorado, but also in Minnesota as well.
So typically, kind of our traditional approach is it's a 2-year collaboration with Xcel Energy where the first 6 months are spent on that planning phase and the following 18 months are spent on implementation. And as we were just considering Superior, the recommendations may be kind of a streamlined or accelerated planning process, maybe around 4 months, and then we can right-size implementation depending on the outcomes of that planning process and your own needs and where you'd like to take it for the Superior community.
The planning process is really driven by you and your community and what you would like to accomplish. So there are definitely communities that may not have the resources or frankly the time to devote to the 6-month planning and doing something that's a little bit more streamlined. We're trying to offer that so that communities that maybe don't have that 6 months can still participate in the program and get something meaningful out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll go into maybe what this planning process could look like in this kind of accelerated approach in a subsequent slide. There's various benefits to participating. These are kind of our top 5. The first being there's various tools and resources that we're able to provide and kind of augment your own resources throughout the process and executing your own energy action plan. So by the end of this whole planning phase, we help develop the energy action plan with you all. So it's very customized to your own needs and where you'd like to see that kind of energy additional goals and implementation support within the community. And that's at no additional cost to develop that to all of you. And with that, there's a few aspects of it that are kind of tied into that energy action plan. So we provide community energy data to you all to help inform decision making throughout that process, as well as track implementation results. Also, just within the community, your residents, whether you choose to do public facilities and do a municipal focus or businesses, they all see a direct impact in terms of energy savings programs and just access to those resources. And then you also have an equivalent economic development benefit to those that do participate in those resources and programs so that they can funnel that money elsewhere within the community. Any questions so far on benefits to participating? And we offer a variety of resources to support you all within the planning process. So that includes facilitation and guidance of different workshops that we help prepare, plan for in the planning phase, as well as access to data. So Xcel Energy will provide Superior community energy data that then we clean up and then we turn around and share with you all and use that as kind of a baseline to inform where would you like to go within the community in terms of your energy goals, and then how do we actually get there. So how do we build it from the bottom up for strategies that are actually actionable and implementable within that implementation phase. And then just throughout this, we provide that project management aspect. So we'll be coordinating via conference calls, and then on that, just all that back-end planning support for those workshops and community engagement. And then transitioning then to implementation. So once the planning phase is complete, you have your energy action plan that's ideally been accepted by the board and is out in the community. We then transition to implementation, and so through that, it's a lot of how do we now get the right information and resources in the hands of those that are in the community, and where we're looking to see engagement through residents and businesses. So this is where it's very customized and personalized in terms of communications and marketing materials And we have a whole binder of examples that we're able to follow up and share with you all if you'd like to see anything on that end. And then we also provide that program expertise, so it sounds like you already have just some knowledge of what Xcel Energy offers. But, you know, it's a changing landscape and there's lots of updates with the new filing coming up, so we just keep on top of all that. And then we fit that in with your strategies. So how are we really linking the programs that we're promoting to results and energy reductions?
This is the fun part of the program, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
The implementation part, I think it's really fun to be able to have a plan on paper in terms of these are the goals that we want to achieve, and then be able to actually move forward and achieve those goals and working with Xcel Energy. But this is definitely a community-led initiative. We have learned over time that things sound a lot better when they come out of the mouths of residents that actually live here and your neighbors versus us, the big bad utility. And so this is the part where you really can customize it and do things to really get other community members engaged and other stakeholders engaged as well. So I think this is the best part of the implementation.
Yeah, and this is where some communities, just speaking to that customization component, if you're interested, you can develop your own branding just based off of your sustainability committee aspect of it. So then it has its really own identity that you can move forward with. A lot of communities have chose to go that route, you know, your own colors and all of that. So it's a lot of fun. And we have in-house kind of branding, graphics support to support all of the materials that you'll need. And in addition to that, we like to track, you know, are we making progress to where our goals were, where are we, what does that mean in terms of the programs that we're promoting. So throughout, we get biannual data polls, and then we use that as a measurement to track our success. And then also within this phase, we continue that project management aspect of it. So we're helping kind of coordinate among the strategy teams or however we choose to set up successful implementation kind of management systems.
What's the granularity of the data tracking? And the reason I ask is just that there's going to be a lot of construction going on in Superior, so obviously looking at overall energy consumption isn't going to be super helpful.
Yeah, so yeah, total energy consumption we get annually, but otherwise we do it on a Xcel Energy kind of program by program basis. So we get participation, electricity savings, therm savings, but the granularity, I guess, would be at that program level.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Is the data businesses and residential, or just businesses, or commercial only?
Businesses and residential, and we can do municipal as well.
Okay.
So as long as we have it aggregated, so there's more than 15 customers within that pool, and then there's some other just kind of regulations that we comply with.
We pull out any large data, large energy users, just to make sure that you really can't identify, because we're not identifying those premises by, you know, this is John Smith and, you know, he lives here. But for those large commercial customers, if you do want to include their energy consumption, you can ask them to sign a waiver, and then we can include them in the data as well.
So then do you break the data out by commercial, residential, and you said municipal?
Absolutely.
What other categories do you break it down beyond that?
Those are kind of our most typical three,
Okay.
and that's where if we do get like a lot of municipalities, they'll want to look at their specific community facilities and maybe do a little more fine-grained analysis. And so that's where you complete that data waiver, and then we can look at it by building, kind of facility scale.
And then do you break it, you also provide how much of those three categories are the powers supplied by renewables or PV?
We do get renewables information as well.
Okay.
So we can use that to kind of supplement and overlay with that energy efficiency, kind of demand side management information.
And then can you convert that all into greenhouse gas emissions?
Yep, and we have that all ready to go. So we use a tool that we call Compass, but that's really what guides us through the planning process and then sets us up for implementation. So within that, it has the baseline information that includes that greenhouse gas component.
Great.
On the data tracking, can you do it by like sub-neighborhoods and things like that? Because if we wanted to have some neighborhood challenges and things, it'd be great to be able to get that data separately. So if we pre-design it, saying, you know, this quadrant, that quadrant, or something like that, can you guys do that?
So right in the beginning of the planning process.
And I'm sorry, but I'm having a really hard time hearing you,
Oh,
so
sorry.
if you could speak
I'll get up
a little.
closer. So right in the beginning of the planning process, we ask for just kind of a GIS layer. And within that, it can be a community boundary, it could be a growth management area, It could be by census block, if you a specific neighborhood.
So census blocks and neighborhoods, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And just with that, we have to be mindful of, based on what we're sharing, if it needs to comply with those 15
We're not asking for individual, we're asking for, yeah.
Yeah, so as long
neighborhoods,
as it fits within that, it's no problem.
Just to clarify, the 15 regulations, you're saying there has to be at least 15, let's say we're talking about households within the residential group to be able to break it out?
Correct. Or
So-
to be able to include it in the aggregation, or else
Okay.
we can't, if it's fewer than 15, we can't share that data at all. Or if it is over 15, but then it has one kind of large user, which residential it's not as common because they're more kind of evenly spread in terms of their energy use, but then they would be pulled from that data set.
Can you speak to how that would work with the municipal category? So you're talking about building by building then, or?
In that case, so municipal, it would still be under that same, I guess if you had under 15 premises, you couldn't share them unless we went that data waiver route. And then we could share them on that building by building scale.
Thank you.
Do you guys know how many municipal buildings Superior has? From this one?
I'm concerned it's less than 15, so
Yes.
we'd have to
That's-
go
I guess, okay.
a data waiver route.
Yes.
I think it's valuable to see that.
So add the mayor's
Yeah.
house and the city manager.
Personal shaving. All the board members, individual homes. Sorry.
No, and that's become really standard across communities, is just having the municipality provide that data waiver, and you just provide us with your accounts, and then we can flag them. And then it also helps inform a lot of times strategies, so if you choose to do energy benchmarking of all your facilities and track energy use that way, within Portfolio Manager, it really enables that.
Well, you might be surprised, Kim, because I assume like streetlights and pumping stations
Wastewater treatment
and
site.
all that stuff, probably all those meters probably are included in the municipal.
I don't know, I was just thinking however it gets categorized, whether we get it
Yeah.
down to that granular level or whether that gets wrapped up into some type of aggregate account.
Yeah,
It'll depend on how that gets spaced.
yeah.
Yeah, and that makes
But you guys can investigate that for us?
So it would be kind of down the line in the planning
Yeah,
process,
yeah.
once we can go through all that. And it makes me think too that just to the point of streetlights, we don't include that in our data
Okay.
currently. And Channing already mentioned the exchange, but it's just that cohort aspect of all of our communities. But within this, it's specifically additional webinars and office hours on different topics that we offer on an ongoing kind of monthly basis that you can opt into and just participate in if as available. And it's just to promote that peer learning between all the different communities as well as best practices for a given topic of interest. So we've hosted, gosh, I don't even know how much at this point, probably over 30. And then within that, we supplement it with in-person events. So also just that in-person peer learning. And this past event that we've held in March included training on energy efficiency from an expert that was really engaging and informative, as well as an EV panel. So I know that I think EVs were an interest for you all. So we're definitely engaged on the EV side and can help facilitate some of those discussions.
We're hoping to do more in-person events. It's just a really great way, an informal way to get all of our communities together for networking and, like I said, to share learnings and the like.
Yeah. And then I'll plug the portal too. So we have a brand new online portal. And this is also just to facilitate discussions among communities and to be able to more clearly see what others are doing in terms of materials and collateral, kind of their own progress that they're making in terms of reaching their goals. We would post kind of all of our workshop information, the Federal Energy Action Plan, as well as additional toolkit and implementation resources that only you can access as being a community.
Do you guys have a way of normalizing the data to where you can kind of compare how other communities compare to others?
We have a few metrics. We don't formally normalize the data in terms of like weatherization or weather norms and climate aspects. But we do have a few different metrics that we look at if you're interested in comparing community to community.
Like, I don't know, I guess maybe even having a, population in the denominator could kind of normalize it to where you can compare how other communities are doing? I don't know, and you
Yeah.
guys are the ones doing this, have you? Because you talked about sharing data and learning from other participating communities, so I'm wondering if seeing how one community's energy use compares to another, is that part of that red box there, or is that really just something else?
I would probably put that more, in the planning phase when we talk about that baseline.
Okay.
And if there's an interest to really compare to other communities, especially in the goal setting.
Right, it's not something that we do formally as of right now, but if that is of interest, and that's definitely something that we could explore.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it will get us, but it just might be interesting to just know.
Yeah.
I think
Like comparing to your neighbors, right? Your whole
Right, yeah.
thing that you guys do.
that tends to be more kind of anecdotal in terms of talking to another community that's around the same size, that is around the same population, that is focusing on similar areas of interest in their energy action plan. I think that there's just probably more informal sharing that goes on there to be like, oh, well, we, did a farmer's market and we found that it was a really great success. But when we did a door knocking campaign, we really didn't get a lot of engagement. I feel like it tends to be more informal learnings and sharing of information, but we could definitely, from a data side, probably get you something that's a little bit more detailed if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, okay, yeah, great.
All right, and this is just breaking out different benefits that we see of that streamlined or accelerated planning process that we were thinking for Superior. So we can talk through if this seems like potentially a right fit. But for the community, that streamlined aspect, it just helps you right-size your efforts while building capacity. So an outcome of all of this is we really want to build internal capacity so that you can carry on these efforts past, our formal planning and implementation periods. And it's coordinating and building on existing efforts already underway. So we know that you are already doing a lot of great work, and there's already a lot of great work going on in Boulder County, so how can we really merge those two and support those co-benefits? We also have a lot of vetted strategies now based on our experience, so speaking back to the exchange, but we have a lot of best practices, and we know kind of what could be a best fit for Superior based on that, to also align with your resources and what you can commit. And now we have a full suite of implementation tools, and this is all available on the portal that we can kind of use and customize within the Superior community. And then also just maximizing impact with that streamlined effort. So, we kind of know the right parts and pieces to play with. So minimizing or cutting down on the planning phase does not at all cut out from your potential impact in implementation efforts. So we feel really strongly about that. And then there's also benefits on the Xcel Energy side, but I don't think we have to talk about those too much. All right, so here is an example work plan. We've kind of broken into that project management aspect and the stakeholder team. So within Partners in Energy, we kind of have those two teams where the project management team is a part of the stakeholder team, but they might do a few above and additional steps to it. So that would include kind of project kickoffs. You participate in our regularly scheduled meetings just to make sure that we're moving forward and everything's on track in preparation and between our workshops. Just guidance of that overall planning process and what that looks like and where it should really go for Superior. You identify other stakeholder team members that we like to call that energy action team, and then we set that workshop timeline. And then you provide kind of the right-sized data analytics and modeling. So kind of final say or guidance as we go about that process. And then the stakeholder team, which are a variety of businesses and organizations, residents and other members of your community that you think would have a great voice to lend to this process. They would participate in 2 workshops, as we were saying. So workshop 1 would comprise of that community energy baseline or profile. And the second aspect of that first workshop is just that focus areas and strategy selection. So this could be where you really focus on the municipal facilities, commercial or existing businesses, construction, and then that residential aspect or example focus areas. And then in between workshops, we just have different communications and surveys that lend to that streamlined approach. And then workshop 2 is really where the rubber meets the road, where we have that draft preview of your energy action plan. And then we transition to that action planning aspect. So what are those team commitments and what does it look like through this transition to implementation? And then from there, you have your final plan and official launch. However you like to make it splashy or not, we can personalize that. And then in terms of the actual deliverable that you get out of the planning process of the energy action plan, it will consist of, so you'll have kind of an energy goal. So what are you driving towards in terms of your vision for energy within the Superior community? You have focus areas that we briefly discussed, and then within your focus areas, you have different strategies. And so these strategies are what we're looking to implement actively in the implementation phase, and then that's tied to specific Xcel Energy programs, and we can augment that with like Energy Smart programs and whatever else you have going in the community that we'd like to tie in. So for example, in residential, we can focus really on what is our single family housing stock. And then with that, Xcel Energy has a great offering that's Home Energy Squad, and now it's just offered for $50 for homeowners. So how do we really promote that? And it's a full kind of suite where a technician will come into your home, screw in, remove old light bulbs, screw in new light bulbs for free, and then there's a few other benefits above that. Any questions on that work plan approach? I'll pause quickly for questions. I don't know if there's any more. Great. And then just looking at next steps. So we're now transitioning to Exchange 10. So if you're interested in submitting an application, the applications are available on Xcel Energy online, and then it's due July 19th.
July what?
July 19th. Yeah, and you can reach out with any questions or if there's more information that you're looking in addition to this presentation. We're happy to have all those follow-up conversations.
I missed whether or not it costs the town anything.
Oh, yeah, no cost to the town.
Great. I think we should submit some. So.
Yeah. And then just on the Xcel Energy side, so you'll have kind of a little team made up of my coworkers, depending on how we split it based on expertise and what we think would be a best fit for Superior. So we're kind of an extension of a resource that you can utilize.
Thanks.
Can you talk a little bit more about what services you might offer in terms of EV planning? That's something we've been talking about recently, and potentially looking at getting a consultant to come in and help identify potential locations for EV charging stations and things like that. Is that stuff you could help with in some way, or?
Yeah, so we have a lot of communities now that are interested in EV planning, and we have kind of ulterior efforts going on around that, but we're helpful. We're definitely willing to facilitate and be a part of all of those conversations and just serve as that resource as you go about that planning.
And are some of the other communities a little farther along so we could borrow from their learning?
As of this point, not yet. We're doing community work with the city of Denver that we've recently kicked off, but hopefully by the time that you would start your planning process, we should have some information to share.
Cool.
Yeah, and we do have, makes me think we've had like an EV planning workshop, just in partnership with CSU Extension and a few others, and that was really popular in Centennial. So any resources like that, we can kind of just turn around and...
Did you record it by chance?
I believe we did.
Fantastic.
Pass it along. Yeah.
Thanks.
And they had a really great, really fun videos that were part of their promotion that resonated really well. And I think that was one of the best attended just implementation workshops that we've had.
Cool.
Nice watch.
Do all communities that apply get accepted, or is there some criteria that need to be met?
There are criteria that need to be met. That's all outlined in the application. But I don't believe we have yet said no to a community in Colorado. No.
Okay.
So hopefully we won't be the first.
No, definitely not. No, and if for some reason there's some other things that are going on that you need to delay your entry, that could possibly happen, but other than that, no, we're not turning people away.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So you said they're due in July, and then, so this wouldn't get started till the fall, then? Is that when, as soon
Yeah,
as
we
we would
would
start?
Probably transitioning from review of applications, expect a couple weeks to then, informing you of, being submitted, yay. Then it turns into just having those initial kind of project management meetings and really outlining, what are we looking for in this process? Are we reflecting accurately in the work plan? What you're looking to get out of it? Trying to get that timeline nailed down, and then it's moving on to a formal, an MOU that just kind of reiterates that. For the planning process, and once the MOU is signed, we're kind of off to the races and can get started. So fall is probably a good aspect. Yeah.
Thanks.
I have
So,
a, okay, go ahead.
if you have questions, go ahead. I was just gonna say, I'll volunteer to help write the thing.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
With whoever, if somebody else wants to too, that's great.
I could help with the application too.
I'd happy to help too. Just in terms of logistics, I know as a advisory committee, we're all supposed to have public meetings together that are recorded and publicly documented. So I'm not sure who the question goes to, but how does that work in terms of our group working on the Partners Energy Program? Since obviously there are these, ongoing working group meetings and things like that. Is that something we need to do in this meeting, or are there opportunities to?
No, so you could set up a working group that you would pull from your group, whether it's the entire group or just members from your group, and it would be a working group that would work on this. And you can hold those meetings here in the public building or a public place in town. As long as you're not making decisions, those meetings don't have to be recorded and notes taken. That's a working session.
Somebody would then just come back and present it at the regular meeting.
Yes, bring the information back to the group. Yes.
You're officially, okay, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you all so much.
One-
Yeah, and thanks for coming.
One more quick question, I'm sorry. So this seems like a great program. Just out of curiosity, as I know will probably come up later, what does Excel get out of this? Seems like the town's getting a great amount of value out of here. What's the benefit for the Excel?
There was some words on the slide that talked about that, but no, we live here. And so we as Excel Energy, we feel it's really important to support the communities where we live. And so we get out of it that we get to offer this great program, and it's a continuation of Partners in Energy. Ideally, we like to enroll every single community in Colorado in Partners in Energy, and that would be amazing. But it's also enrollment in our DSM programs and our renewable programs. So with that demand side management, making sure that we are being mindful of how much energy our customers are using so that we don't have to then turn around and build new power plants and service stations and all those things that cost millions and billions of dollars, and then your bill goes up. So the company does get a lot out of it, but we want to make sure that it's mutually beneficial for all parties involved.
So this is more or less good data collection for you all, but would you not have access to that data already?
No, we do.
Okay.
And it's also
Yeah.
supporting their renewable programs as well, and they have targets that they need to hit for those. So I'm sure that helps with those efforts.
Fantastic. Appreciate
And
it.
it just helps as we're working with communities, other parts of the company. So working with your account managers for those large customers, or like the city of Superior, and also the area manager, Preston Gibbs is the area manager in this area. We want to make sure that comprehensively Superior feels like it's supported by Excel Energy in meeting their energy goals. So it's just another way that we are able to do that as a company.
That's great. Thank you.
Do you know off the top of your head who the Excel account rep is for Superior?
I want to say it's Gina Carnahan, but I totally could be making that up. I can follow up.
That's fine. Just curious.
Craig Eicher is our area manager.
Oh, it's Craig, your area manager? Okay, that was Preston. Yeah, Craig's great.
Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate you coming out and talking about this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we need to get approval from the town board to?
So I was about to suggest this would be a good second topic for the dinner after the scorecard, just because fine, it's good to have maybe 2, 3, 4 topics. We might not get to all of them during the dinner, but just in case we get to the first one surprisingly fast, this is definitely a good second one to talk to the board about.
Well, I assume the application needs an authorized signature. Would that come from the town manager?
Yeah, and that's, I think it's great that you guys want to take the lead on this, and I don't see a problem with that. It does get a little weird with making sure town staff is, yeah, it's, well, it has to be involved somehow, because it has to come from a member of the town who can enter into a relationship.
Right, and so I believe, and these would be all things that I would have to check into, because I've never, done this part, but when we did our grant that we just submitted, so you guys took the lead on that. Lisa wrote the grant, did all of the legwork, and shared it with me, and then I got the signatures and did all of that, but you guys, did that work. So that would be kind of how this would work as well, but I can confirm that and get
So we just
more
need to fill out the
information.
application and then hand it over to you.
And then we would submit the application, but then the planning process and the meetings and all of that would be something that the committee would take care of.
This seems like
With
a
town.
great plus, though. We, a couple years ago, tried to, got something approved in NYSERDA to do something similar to this, and then it turns out that none of the utilities in the area would divvy up the data into these subgroups, in these neighborhood groups, so we couldn't, ultimately, we had all this planning process, and we had to chuck the whole thing, so. So there's a lot of legwork that we can talk about for objectives and all that jazz that will probably be useful for the grant.
Well, I think this feeds into that scorecard.
It does a lot.
Directly. Like, I don't know if they're gonna have their own scorecard. I guess we'll cross
Sounds
that
like
bridge when we get to
pretty
it.
simple metrics, but we can make our own metrics.
Yeah.
Well, and also, if we could potentially, obviously, like an EV consultant would be more in-depth in terms of the analysis we get back, but if we don't have to spend however many thousands of dollars to get an official consultant to look for
Exactly,
EV
that was a
charging
great
stations,
question.
then that would,
Yeah.
That was
be
a
no-brainer.
really good
It
question.
was, yeah, I would never have thought of that.
I would say,
Yeah, I think it ties into all of our goals. So do we need to get official board approval to move forward, or?
we didn't last time.
Okay.
Well, they just, what she's saying is that, yeah, if we fill out the application, they
Okay.
will get it approved.
Well, and I think what Ken was kind of leading to too is it would be great for that to be a topic at the board dinner on the 22nd, which is just coming up here in a few weeks. So that would be probably a good next first step.
Yeah, you'll probably, I'd be shocked if any of the board members were opposed to this, but that's probably where you'll get the verbal thumbs up, move forward, and it'll all go smooth from there, because since it doesn't cost anything, it won't take any formal board action, but getting the thumbs up for the board would probably be useful.
And I'm sure it helps too that all the surrounding communities near us are also participants too, so that helps. Would someone be willing to grab the mouse?
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry, thanks, Matt.
So did they give you a copy of that presentation?
We have that.
Oh, we do. Well, that might be a
I can
nice
email it.
prompt when we talk to the board. Just kind of
Yeah,
go
it's
through
on
the
the
slides real
network, so
quick.
we would have it right here
Oh, great. Okay.
in this room, yeah.
Thanks. Makes sense.
All right. Any other questions or discussion about the Partners Energy Program? Okay. Yeah, sounds like a really cool opportunity. All right, so moving on to promoting indoor and outdoor residential water audits. I believe in the past we've mostly done this through the newsletter and those types of channels. Are there other things that we want to do this year beyond just those? I mean, we could all go independently and post to O27 and Nextdoor and stuff, but
I mean, Arbor Day, right?
yeah, that's true.
Promote something there.
I can't remember, do you know, Karen, off the top of your head, if we happen to have any pamphlets specifically on the water audits, or is that something where most of the information's online?
I believe it's most of it's online. If there's anything, it would be out here in the lobby, and I can check to see if there's anything there.
Okay. Yeah, if there's anything that we have that we can share, that'd be awesome.
I mean, it's funny because it seems kind of silly, but it's also along the lines. Would there be any way to assemble like little packets of some of the information that we have for the event this weekend to give to people in the cars and to come and check in? Like,
Yeah, I mean, the committee is more than welcome to do whatever you'd like to do as far as that goes.
it's like, that's
Absolutely.
something I could do, like I can't be there on Saturday, but I could get that done and bring them to you guys on Saturday.
I think that'd be fantastic.
Okay, are we able to get that box tonight, or should I come back tomorrow to get it?
Yeah, I'd have to locate it. I know it's here in this building, but I believe it's in someone's office, so it may be locked.
That's okay, I could plan on coming and getting it like earlier tomorrow, because it shouldn't take but a few minutes, but I could just assemble some stuff that you guys could hand out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the information that Essie is referring to is online.
Yeah.
And so it may need to be printed out. So you may want to go and check that out, and then you could send me a file, and then I could print, and you can pick up whatever you needed.
Any other thoughts or suggestions or comments about promoting the water audits? No. Alright. So we can move on to smart irrigation controllers and the town water rebates. I think probably the way to go for this one would just be to write up some text to include in the newsletter, if that sounds good. I don't think we've really highlighted the smart irrigation controllers in particular. I know we've highlighted the water rebates, but actually, I'm not sure if we have really. Is there more to the process beyond just us writing something and sending to you, or?
That's it.
Okay.
On promoting the rebate, right?
I think probably one thing that'd be helpful is to write it up in such a way that's promoting the overall suite of rebates that the town offers, and then highlighting like smart irrigation controllers as one cool example of one particular thing, and saying, there's more on the website, so go check that out.
Yeah.
But I know personally, when I got my smart irrigation controller, it was cool because the town rebates covered the entire cost of it, so I didn't have to pay anything for a brand new smart system.
When did that program start? I actually just stumbled across it recently because we got a new washer, but I was not aware of that program.
It's sort of hidden on the website, I think. Yeah.
And it's still on the website?
I haven't checked recently, so I hope so.
Yes.
I assume so.
I have to get a whole new system, so might as well go all the way.
Yeah, so things like toilets, faucets, sprinkler controllers, all that
That's
stuff.
what we need to get, is a new
Yeah.
sprinkler.
Yeah, the sprinkler controller is awesome, so it pays attention to the weather forecast and automatically waters just the right amount for the plants you have in your yard.
Okay.
So-
Nice.
Yeah, the toilet rebate covered almost the entire cost of the toilet.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And just as far as deadline for anything that you would want to send to me for the May newsletter, it would be the 22nd.
Okay.
I would just need whatever so that I can get it to Melissa at Town Hall.
Okay.
Maybe a splash on rebates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Especially
know,
when
I-
everybody's feeling so poor after tax time.
And you have a new toilet.
Hey, I need a new
This
sprinkler
is a good
controller.
time of year to do that too, because sprinkler systems are starting up as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
great
like I
idea.
need a whole new sprinkler system.
I'm happy to take a stab at writing something up for that. All right, so EV consulting update or discussion. So given our recent presentation, is that something we want to think about
Defer.
or table? Yeah.
I'd say defer that.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
All right, sounds good. Come back to it towards the end of the year.
Because even if they can't do the whole thing, they can probably get us to a certain point where then it is just like about dotting the i's and crossing the t's instead of hiring somebody, so that'd be good.
Well, and if we have all the town resources about plans and everything, and then we can, share best practices and get Excel's Energy's thoughts, given distribution infrastructure and everything else, then it seems like that would get us probably most of the way there. And if we could save several $1,000s, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
So,
just will it be in time for anything that's going on with the downtown area?
well, I was gonna say, my only concern of urgency is making sure the infrastructure's in place before everything's filled and across the street.
Yeah.
that's true.
Running, even if it's just empty conduit, you can pull wire through down the road.
Do you have any idea on that, Ken?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Well, there's been these work sessions you guys are having on downtown Superior and all that kind of stuff, and I think the only concern of urgency with the EV charging stations is making sure conduit's getting laid or pulled before everything's filled with concrete. And then it like quadruples the cost to add an EV charging station once everything's filled in.
Yeah, that's, I think that's something we can pass on it's definitely something we want to include in the downtown, or in the Main Street piece with the concept plan we just saw. I think that's a comment we could probably pass on to them now. But we wouldn't see it for sure until they bring the FTP back, probably in 9 to 12 months. I'll follow up with Matt to see if we can pass on that comment.
And can you let us know like what we need to do on our end? Because maybe we just have to make a resolution to request that the board involves us or something like that, and then do some behind the scenes work. I don't know.
Or considers charging infrastructure.
I mean, if we, the most formal way to do it to make sure it actually gets ingrained in the minutes and it lives a long life is if you guys pass just a recommendation right now. And say we recommend that we consider and add EV charging stations to all remaining downtown FTPs or something to that effect.
Yeah, or even all future developments.
I think we really should, yeah.
Because you got the new multifamily going in off of 88 too, and because some things cooking around town.
Oh yeah, there's Rogers Farm there's a lot going on.
Because I thought we'd done that, with even like the recycling and the regular waste, and that seems to have fallen by the wayside, so it'd be good to get this on track.
Mm-hmm. I would say passing a recommendation would be quite useful.
Yeah, I'll do that, so.
I guess propose
So when he's proposing, you just want to make sure Eileen's getting all of it verbatim for the notes.
So we need to come up with what we want to say really quick.
Yeah.
So what do we want to do? Do you want
Recommend that the board consider electric vehicle charging infrastructure in all future development.
I'll second that.
It could be just as simple as that, right?
Can you say that again?
Sure, I think so. So recommend that the board consider EV charging infrastructure in all future development.
So the SE makes the recommendation, so we just need a second and then a vote.
And I seconded it already.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Cool, passes unanimous.
And I'll make sure to actually pull it out and highlight it during the reports section of next board meeting and at least get the temperature of the board and get kind of the informal thumbs up, thumbs down. And I think that usually is good enough to say, hey, staff, let's think about this and move forward with it. So,
Okay,
cool,
perfect.
thanks.
Yeah, I think even if it means just laying some empty pipe,
yeah,
to put it in place down the road, that's, plastic's pretty
That's the
cheap,
key.
yeah.
No, it should be good. Excellent, thanks. All right, so I think we can move on to the update from town staff about Superior's landscape contract and discussion of how we can ensure the town sprinklers are being checked and properly positioned.
And we have Park Superintendent Matt Rarick here.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yep. So I assumed it was more of a question and answer type thing. So
Yeah, that's
I assume you guys had some questions for the town in regards to this.
Well, I think we all notice that when the sprinklers come on, we notice a lot of water on the streets,
Yeah.
in the medians. And we were just curious if it's part of the landscaper's contract to make sure we're not overwatering and sprinklers are directed directly onto the landscape, and if it's their job to follow up and stay on top of that.
Yes. Yeah, they do weekly checks of the irrigation system, and they constantly make adjustments to the heads and whatnot. The town manages how much water is getting applied. You guys mentioned smart controllers earlier. The town, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago, we invested in taking it away from the contractor, the irrigation practices. You used to be able to go middle of the day, 90 degrees out in Purple Park, walk in the park, and your feet would be soaking. So we realized that was an issue. So we proposed to the board a centralized irrigation system, and the town was very supportive of it. We had initially a 3-year program. They wanted to do it in 1. So we now have weather stations that help monitor that, make daily adjustments to that. And it's been a long process to wean the grass off of previous watering practices. We use a tall fescue, which is supposed to be drought tolerant and whatnot. However, after years and years of overwatering, the shallow root systems needed to be retrained. So over the years, we've been gradually decreasing some of that water usage through applications. Our current town landscaper, they do make weekly adjustments. They adjust the beds. Sometimes it's a little overspray, and that's what we're trying to dial in. We realize there are some efficiencies that we can step up on and to water better, get the water where it's supposed to be. Sometimes it aggravates me if I see a head going 10 feet, 15 feet into the street. That's not what we want. Ideally, everything would stay exactly on the grass. However, the way the overhead spray system works, you have to almost go just past and then come back so that it makes sure that that last strip of grass gets what it needs. If you go right to that line, it may get a little bit less, and eventually you start seeing like a burn mark right along the curb line. So unfortunately, some of the design limitations of what we do here, we run into that. So they do, we have a approximately 26-week irrigation season that they turn the system on, conduct checks. The town has approximately 71 irrigation controllers and almost 3,300 irrigation valves throughout all of town. So it's quite a large.
Irrigation what? Valves.
Irrigation controllers, and then the sprinkler valves.
Valves.
So your normal house has 5, 6, maybe 7. We have nearly 3,300. So it's a big system to walk through. And ideally, we would like to see every zone every week, but unfortunately the system is so large that that's cost prohibitive. So it's about every 2 to 3 weeks Vargas goes through and they'll try to check all those irrigation zones and conduct repairs and adjustments as they go.
I know you also installed a system where citizens could report stuff easily on your website. Do you get reports about these often?
We do here and there. The C-Click system, and we check that comes through. We make adjustments as soon as we hear about those. We're definitely making those adjustments to the system. And part of their checking the system is giving us feedback on areas that are too wet or too dry. We get fewer complaints when it's too dry, obviously, but we're constantly making adjustments to the system. It's taken years to kind of build our database, and we have a plant factor and then a precipitation rate. The precipitation rate is how much water each of those heads puts out on that zone, and then the plant factor is kind of representative of the efficiency of that irrigation zone. So unfortunately, we can't reach 100%. It's generally closer to 70, so we have to water just a little bit more to make sure everything is uniform. Go ahead, Lisa.
What kind of grass, ground cover, whatever, are they putting in the new area? Is it hopefully not like Kentucky bluegrass, whatever we've got, fescue, blah, blah, and something like closer to xeriscaping? I know they don't have the HOA with the major requirements, it has to be X, Y, Z, so can you take advantage of that?
I think it's a blend of there's newer cultivars coming out all the time with different drought tolerances. I think it's a Texas red fescue or something.
So it's still a grass.
So, yeah, it is a grass, but they are a lot more robust than the years gone by. The original Kentucky bluegrass and that kind of thing. The hybrids and the blends are what's predominant these days. So that is being spec'd in a lot of these new developments.
And they're also doing water reuse over there?
Yes.
For irrigation?
The irrigation is part of the reuse system.
Nice.
And we get approximately half of all of what we can produce from the reuse system goes up to the irrigation bladder at the top of the town, and then we supplement with raw water as well. So the town has a significant water rights and stuff.
So I think where the water waste is most obvious is when you're driving down Colton, up Rock Creek Parkway, the medians. That's probably where a lot of us notice it. So, I mean, I guess, how do you guys enforce it? Because a lot of times, because the meters, the water usually runs, early in the morning, right?
Yes.
So I don't know, you guys drive around and periodically inspect that. And then you brought up an excellent point about the overspray. So how do you decipher between proper amount of overspray hitting the gutter or whatever versus, hey, we got a small river running down, you can see the water stains from this happening quite a bit over the summer. You see where I'm going, I guess, with that.
Yeah, some of it's a system design, and this is an older design, obviously, and we do our best to do a cycle soak to minimize how much runs off from the turf. Heads, they constantly need to be adjusted and straightened up, and that's to help mitigate that. So part of it is getting more inspections. We, as a town too, this year, we're going to try to utilize some town staff to maintain some of our higher use parks and try with an eye on efficiency. Raising heads, getting them to the proper level, and then adjusting those and making sure they're not leaning back or too far forward, and trying to just dial everything in, tighten it up. So we realize it's an issue. We're making adjustments to that.
Is it mowing that messes them up?
Occasionally a mower can turn ahead or whatnot. It's just
Or
a
the
number of
ground
factors,
shifting.
aging heads, gear drives, sometimes the stop, it moves over, and then you go through a zone real quick and okay, everything's turning, but they don't necessarily always watch to make sure it's stopping at the right spot. So sometimes it's just an eye on detail and making sure the irrigation crew doesn't get glazed over. You start seeing water all summer long, you start paying less attention. So that may be something that we'll have to address with them a little bit more.
I just wondered why, other than just simply wearing out, they would need to be adjusted a lot, so.
Yeah, ideally, we shouldn't have to adjust them constantly,
That's what I'm wondering.
but yeah.
That's what I was getting at. Good.
Yeah.
Are you guys taking any steps to try to convert turf out to either Xeriscape or, I don't know, I know a few years ago with Rock Creek Parkway down the medians, I don't know if it was your group or converted several of the turf areas to just a nice flagstone.
Yeah.
No irrigation at all needed. But are you guys constantly kind of evaluating areas that, no one really plays on this part of the grass? Why don't we just convert this to Xeriscape?
And some of those trees in the medians are looking terrible again, they just look dead.
Yeah. So just,
Why don't we just give up?
Giving up is not an option.
but what are your thoughts around that? And what do you guys do?
We have identified a few areas that need renovation, and that's usually a good segue to kind of modify what's going on there. And like you stated, some of these medians, they do tend to have runoff. It's just kind of the nature.
I just feel like the trees are screaming and we're not hearing it,
Yeah. We've been dealing with some of the declining trees for quite a few years. Some of it was poor planting practices initially. We've done air spade, where we exposed the roots, and we found baskets and
That was
wire.
decades ago.
And
Well, yeah.
and they've lasted this long, but they're starting to hit a wall as well. So
Because they can't grow as they needed to because they were still in their baskets and wires. How awesome.
yeah,
I thought they fixed all those.
we didn't fix everything. No, we're just keeping a closer eye
So I'm hearing
on
that from
new
them.
stuff, and and things are really hitting a wall. So we are taking some steps in-house to start prioritizing tree replacement and
Or
updating.
none, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, not just the water savings, but the maintenance savings. If you can cut down on 20% of the lawn that needs to be mowed, I mean,
Yeah.
the payback on that is ROI is very quick. And it's,
It is, and I feel that if there's a specific, we haven't been given a specific direction to
Yeah.
reduce certain areas yet. So I know a lot of people really like the country club kind of golf course kind of feel when
Yeah.
they drive through town. So, and that's when it was, everything was designed a master plan community. That's what most everybody wanted at the time. So I realized that efficiency is coming up, water savings, and changing the landscapes and revitalizing things is a big step. So we would have to get specific direction, I think, from the town board as to that, and then we would also have to probably allocate some budget numbers to help with some of that renovation.
It seems like something you work with the Parks Committee, or one of those other committees deals with trees and stuff too, right? So, not open space, but. Thank you, that's the one. Maybe kind of nudging them and going jointly on saying, you know, taking photos of these poor dead trees and whatever, and saying, what's wrong with this cobblestone one, you know, approach instead.
Yeah, and we have gotten really positive support on some of those flagstone and the grasses, and we've tried to renovate and update some of these beds, but it's not cheap. It's no longer adding a little bit of rock and dressing it up. It's complete removal, replacement of the drip line, and almost starting from scratch. So, and that's what we run into, and we have to be cognizant of one area of town versus other areas of town.
Can't you just turn off the drip line?
We can, but
Leaving some flexibility for the future? Yeah.
we could. Some of the plant material will struggle and decline even further, so that's another option. We could rock it over and then just mitigate with weeds.
Yeah, just think about all those trolley lines they took out in the middle of the streets, and now, oh my God, if they'd only left them, yeah.
Yeah, now we're putting them back.
I have a question, because I know we've been focusing a lot on water, and I'm sorry if you guys still had some of that. I've never actually asked, does the town actually have an integrated weed management program?
Yes, I believe we do.
And so have there been really any significant changes on that? Because I know it's something that we kind of get often from a different perspective. We had somebody who was really passionate about bees, and I know there's questions about that.
Yes. We've reduced the amount of chemical applications in broadcast form, larger areas. It's more of a spot application. So we have reduced the spraying quite a bit over the last 10 years or so.
Are we trying anything like different and new?
There's always new products. Some are more effective than others. Boiling water or vinegar or stuff, but sometimes that's not as effective either, and it becomes labor intensive. So with 630 acres of landscape that we have to manage.
But I'll bet you if you surveyed the residents, they might be willing to do a little trade-off for the bees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was trying to find an article, and I'll have to do some more digging as to something CU Boulder had done some years back. And because the town has a central water line system through its properties, you could do something just like CU did, which is they literally fed a natural weed repellent into its water system automatically, because CU has been herbicide-free, I think, since 2003 or something like that. Yeah, weed doesn't work. Yeah, like they haven't done,
cool.
but I couldn't find the article I was looking for, but interestingly enough, what I did find recently was they're using steam on everything. They just do these little spot treatments of steam, and I'm like, it seemed to take as much effort as going and spraying herbicides.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely a few options. Some of them, similar to what's called a fertigation system, where they inject fertilizer into your system to basically fertilize as you water. They could do something like that. The town is not the only user on our reuse system, though. We have Saddlebrook, Bell Flatirons, the Ridge, and some other users that are on the system, so they would be affected.
For their sprinklers, though.
For their sprinklers.
Okay, so there's no reason why they wouldn't sign up if the town said, I think we should do this, because it's going to benefit them as well.
They could
You have to
potentially,
make a
yes.
barrier out of it. It's an opportunity, not a
Yeah.
problem.
yeah, managing that with the system could be a little tricky. And cost always comes into factor, obviously, so.
I'll try to
That's
find some of that.
something that we
That sounds really worth investigating.
So with regards to herbicides, Karen, I guess this is a question for you. If there's a group to make a recommendation to move away from neonicotinoid-based herbicides or pesticides, I guess that's pesticides more, which group would be the best suited to making that type of recommendation? I'm not sure if that's really a sustainability thing or if it's more like Parks and Rec or.
Yeah, I mean, I would think ProStack.
Okay. Okay.
But we can propose the idea to him,
Yeah. Okay.
It seems like a sustainability issue.
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a.
Yeah.
Jointly.
I guess.
It does seem like a sustainability issue.
No, we're agreeing.
Yeah.
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 I think it could come from either of you guys if you wanted it. If it's something you guys are passionate about, you could follow in your heading, I'm sure. I have a feeling the idea would also be kicked over to ProStack to hear what their opinion is also.
Okay.
I think we'd be stronger if we could go with two committees saying, you know,
Mhm.
not saying, oh, that's a great idea, but ProStack might like the green grass, you know. It'd be
Right,
better
they want to
to
see the other
address that
side,
ahead
yeah.
of time. Yes.
It should save money.
They're on board.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it'd be a good discussion item for next working group.
So at some point, we need to have a joint meeting with ProStack.
No, well, yes or no.
So from your point of view, do you see areas of opportunity where like ASOs could potentially help to help your group improve efficiency even further, either by providing recommendations to the board or through doing other things? Is there something we could be doing that we're not, that you see?
You know, we're always keeping our eyes on making things more efficient. Cost savings and budgetary impacts. So, if you guys see some recommendations of something that you would like to see that we can implement in-house, those are always better things without being overwhelmed, obviously. Yeah, we're definitely open to that if you guys come up with something.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, all right, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Can you blow that up? If no one else
Yeah.
can read it either, can we just, thank you. I thought it was just a deed, it's my God, I can't read that, it's useless to me.
All right, so.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't do that earlier. So Green Business Awards in the decal order. And if we want to do a town board proclamation, recognition at the town board meeting.
So the update that I have as far as the decals go, I have the fast signs in Broomfield able to work on this. They did tell me, once I told them the total number, only being 4, that they have a $35 minimum. So it'd be $8.75 a piece. I just need the committee to approve that, and then I can move forward with placing that order.
And how much would they charge for, say, 8? Because
Oh, they have a 30, it's just a flat $35 minimum.
Right, so how much do they normally charge, how many could we get for $35?
Right, I see what Lisa's saying.
Do these decals have a year on it?
That's what I
Or is it
said.
just-
They do.
I think they.
Okay.
They do. Because it has to be for the year that the business was awarded.
Right.
So we can't like order additional that we would just keep around.
Well, we could if we made some of them say, it doesn't say the business's name on it, it just says town, your green
It has
business.
the gold, silver, or bronze.
Right. I'm just saying we could put 2020 on some and 2021 on some and,
sure.
or
That's
whatever.
that's up to the committee.
It's not a bad idea.
If they're
Yeah.
essentially
If it works
free.
that way, yeah.
Mhm.
So we
Well-
could ask her to do that?
Yeah, so could we propose a motion then to buy as many stickers as we can and
For
we'll get the
that minimum
22
charge?
ones
Yeah.
for the right number and then
Maybe get like double that's
yeah,
2020. just in
cover
case
many other ones we can get
Yeah.
for the $35 minimum.
Seems a
We'll
waste
just
not
do
to.
those for 2020. Sounds good to me.
Because we can always go get more printed next year if we have more than
Oh,
double
sure,
this year.
exactly.
And then we can propose a motion to go ahead and authorize the $35 or whatever it costs to cover the base. That passes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
The
second.
motion to spend the $35 to get
Yeah, thank you.
to buy the stickers from the vendor
Baskets.
found by Karen.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. All right, passes unanimous.
As part of this next one, can I, I'm gonna meld on to the end of this next one, since it's talking about plastics. But is there a reason we don't have new business or other business on our agendas?
Yep, so that was up here at the beginning, new business, number 5.
Okay,
I think you were here, yeah, we cruised through it
all right, well,
at the beginning.
put it at the end? maybe?
Sure.
All right, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, so do we have plans for Arbor Day to provide recognition? I know Caitlin had been working on that, but I don't know what the current status is.
Should we try what?
Recognition for the businesses at Arbor Day? Sorry.
Go ahead, we're still not, okay.
So I have got it approved to make that happen at the event. The committee just needs to plan it.
Okay.
And I know Caitlin has been in contact with Matt Hannon, who has contact with the businesses, and so it may be necessary to talk to Caitlin about where she's at.
And
Okay.
they're gonna have a mic and that sort of stuff, and so that could be accommodated, and so if someone's setting up a speaker agenda, and so we'd have to get on that program?
Yep, and yes, and that just needs to be sent to me to take to my staff meetings. The mayor does make announcements, so we always have a PA system at Arbor Day, so we will definitely have that ability.
Okay.
So who's gonna staff Arbor Day?
Possibly me a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe,
Volunteer and I have a lot of travel.
so that sounds like something you all should be involved in planning, or talking, announcing, whatever, yeah, okay,
Yeah, so you can reach out to Caitlin and see what
there you go.
her status has been. Anything else we should talk about with regards to the Green Business Awards or any commission?
Did you guys want to do a proclamation to be read by the town board?
So what's involved in making that, just typing it up, or is there, okay.
I think it's limited to 150 words, 250 words.
And I think we would just need to reach out to Matt Hannon, because I believe they've done that for other communities.
Okay.
So there might be a template.
Okay.
That sounds great.
I think
And then
that
they
sounds
get
good.
a picture in front of the town sign, and that sounds good.
Is there anything in this that we need to officially approve tonight? Or is it just have to chat with Caitlin about and then?
Yeah, just make those next steps happen.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. So last is the potential tax on the single-use plastic. And it's something we've talked about for a while in a variety of different forms. We've discovered that we can't really outright ban plastic bags and things like that, but it sounds like a number of communities are moving towards this tax-based approach to reduce the amount of single-use plastic in communities.
I mean, it's not really a tax, right? They're just charging if you need a plastic bag at
Yeah,
the
it's a
store. It's a fee.
Right, I guess, it's, yeah.
I wouldn't call it a tax.
That's true.
Would the best thing for this topic is, it's something that this committee has approached before,
Definitely has.
and yeah, I'm just wondering if the people on this committee that were interested in this maybe should meet separately in between this meeting and the next meeting and have this topic be on the next meeting. Only because I think Lisa has information, I brought all of mine and found out some of it wasn't sorted. I mean, there was a good portion of this notebook that is from that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to,
Time.
just to be in the interest of time.
Yeah, and at
I'm
least
tabling
then-
this until the next one.
Yeah,
'cause I
because
gotta
then
head
at
out
least
here
you
in a few minutes.
know, like, what was the angle that was approached before, what was the feedback we got, what was all the data? We spent an extensive amount
We
of
did.
time on it.
No, I'm really
We
interested.
have a
in
white
this.
paper about it,
Shut down.
It was completely shot down.
I guess that was the outcome.
It was basically like a laughing stock type thing, but not really, but sort of.
Do we
And it
need
was-
to make a motion to table this to the next meeting, or?
Yeah, but I'm wondering, and I'm not volunteering to head it just because I'm trying to shut down some stuff in my life. In terms of like, having a job. So if somebody was kind of willing to lead, I can meet and stuff like that. I think it would be prudent for the people who are in this committee that were interested in talking about, had a meeting in between this meeting and the next meeting about like, what
phone conversation or something.
Yeah.
Even a conference call would work.
I think it's going to take more than an hour and a half to go.
Probably not, but I'm just thinking maybe somebody that really, really wants us on this committee could lead that part and be like, hey, you can come and meet with us and talk about it and what was done before. And in that way, you'll have a better idea of what you would want to do
Well, I
the
think
next meeting.
Caitlin was, did she bring it up? I can't remember
I don't
for sure,
remember.
but.
I brought it up too.
Yeah, you have as well.
But I'm wondering if we kind of, I feel like we have a lot of irons in the fire right
I
now.
sort of want to like have you, Mike, I'm not trying to volunteer you for more, but like you pick it up and sort of lead as to how you want to go, and that way, when we're able to truly discuss it at a meeting next time, you would have more information as well on what happened last time.
Just throw out
And this
one
is going
other.
to be plastic bags?
Yeah.
Okay, because it just says plastic, and I was just going,
Oh, it does.
why they maybe making it something different, but it was plastic bags.
We're also considering expanding beyond just plastic bags to other types of single-use plastic.
Or single-use items, like Boulder doesn't allow styrofoam to go.
Yeah, like styrofoam to-go containers, plastic straws, those types of things, which may be opening up an even bigger can of worms than the plastic bag fee alone would be. But
Given that all our restaurants are basically fast food, but yeah.
And what are you gonna say?
One thing that might just help with the timing of all this is there is current legislation going
That's what I
through
was-
the State House right now, giving local communities more control over this. So whatever you guys were to talk about now, if it came forward with a recommendation in like a month,
We should wait.
laws might change, it might have been able to go further or do something that you more want to do anyway.
So would it make sense then to table it for a couple months? Do you know what the time frame is probably for that?
I get updates weekly on what's
Okay.
going on.
And
with
when does the
State House.
session end?
Oh, I don't remember. I think we're close to halfway. Probably in a few months.
It's not very long.
I'm pretty sure we're halfway, if not beyond, right now. So
We can
we'll
just
have-
table it until that decision's made, because
Yeah.
if laws change, then that's gonna,
as I see updates from it, I'll shoot those updates out to you guys so you know what's going on at the state level. And then we can decide from there.
And then how about this, Mike? I'll work really hard to get everything organized and compiled, and maybe I can like pull it out and have it for you guys next time.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind setting aside a half hour for you to just present on it, like we had Partners in Energy. I think, like I said, like you said, a lot of us are all interested.
Okay.
yeah, I'd be curious to hear.
Then we need to have a more concise agenda then, yes, if we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Can we put that on the next agenda to have a plastic bag presentation?
No, I would say wait until the legislation. That's what he's trying to say, that the
Yeah.
Oh, I
legislation
see
is
what you're
changing our
saying. Yeah.
abilities, our capabilities, our powers, our ability, all that.
Oh, I
Yeah,
got
so
it.
So we
it
need to
might make
wait.
sense to let it ride and see what.
Okay, so let it ride maybe for a couple of months.
Yeah, but what I was saying is I'll get all my stuff together and like,
Okay,
because I
got it.
thought it was all sorted and some of it was sorted, but I'll like bring it so you guys can have it and see what was done before and just kind of look at it.
And yeah. So tagging on to either that or to the new business thing, I did want to hand the committee 3 sheets of paper, and they're about, and I just numbered them, they're draft for sure, because we just explored, can't try to come up with ideas, and I didn't want this to be like a big thing, and I mostly want you to communicate by email, because this is something we're trying to do just for part of the town and not all the town yet, because we want to have a sort of pilot and a test case and all that. So just had a few possible like slogans, and that would be like, recycle superiorly, recycling still works, but do it better, recycle right, and then the batch of them on sheet 2 as well. So let me know your feedback on some of these taglines and that sort of thing. Just send me an email back, and we won't have to do a lot of mock-ups.
Okay.
The other thing is that we're trying not to, definitely trying not to repeat. Here's the laundry list of things you can recycle. We're trying to hone in on just what are the problem materials. So these are some of the problem materials we had around the office, and we found from the sort. Plastic bags are a big problem. They were in there, so they've got to be on the list. From that report that I sent you last time. But if like coffee cups, should we tell them, if it has this, and the other thing, that then, for the number of coffee cups that are in someone's home, just say, no, it's too hard to tell the difference, so just, don't, clean is really important. And Boulder County tries to pride itself on having clean material, and that is what's sort of the barrier right now. People don't know what to do, and we're trying to just make it clear. So try to get a list of the things that are most tricky. The easy things, let's not even, keep recycling your cardboard boxes. Keep, that stuff's obvious. But what are the tricky things? What do I do with shred? Do you honestly know for sure what you do with shred? So let's deal with those kinds of things as the focus of this message. So if you have something, you're always like, do I do that? What do I do with this? Send it to me, we'll figure out exactly what the treatment is, and that's why it says draft. We're concurring the treatment on some of these. If you have a tricky one, we'll try to come down to those that are like, everybody's having trouble with, or everyone hesitates on. It was pretty funny, we were at a National Recycling Coalition meeting where we had 4 speakers that were national market experts who said, this cup right here we're holding, recyclable or not one of them can answer the question. So it's not people are not stupid. This is a really tricky thing, and it's also local. So these are going to be the answers for Boulder County's MRF, not, that doesn't mean at your grandmother's house you can recycle those same things, but we only care about, this is Boulder County. So if you would let me know what your problem materials are, or what do you always have to hesitate at, we'll try to pick those most important ones. We also put in some of the ones that were the contaminants specifically in the sort that we have. And then the product is meant to be I gave you a little mock-up with, just not complete info, and I don't think we should have the 3rd column, but anyway, it'll be photos as well. But any comments you have, it's really just a very rough mock-up, and that would be, the point is that we need to deliver these, some kind of, card hangers have been seen to be the most effective single method. Certainly door-to-door and conversation, all that we'd like to have as part of it. But if you have to just leave something that card hanger/door hanger, this could do either, is probably the most effective thing rather than a mailer and that sort of thing. So that's the approach. We've got 500 homes roughly, 542 households that are in the area that was for the sort. So if we divide that among our folks, we could have just a few, or I've also got a call into EcoCycle. I did some testimony for them at the legislature recently on one of the bills that's up, and went back a couple times for that. So they made kind of a little bit of a favor. So that we might be able to get some cooperation there for them to do it kind of our way, not the EcoCycle way. So okay, that's the update.
Awesome, thank you.
So please get back to me as soon as possible, because we have to beat the next sort for the education.
Okay. Okay, can I put a recommendation for the next agenda to revisit the information that, was it named Matt?
Matt Rare.
That shared with us, and see if we want to put together some recommendations for the board to consider
Oh, that's a good idea.
around efficiency and so forth. Again,
Yes.
we're out of time at this point, so I don't want to discuss it, but
Right, and just as a reminder for all committee members, anything that you would like to put on the agenda, Essie creates the agenda as the chair. So you would want to make sure you get those items. So Lisa, if you want to make sure that this gets on the agenda again next time, just make sure you're sending that to Essie.
okay, sounds good.
I just sent it to you.
And then just one other quick reminder, as far as, it doesn't sound like you guys are going to be doing any in-between meetings because we're tabling the plastic conversation, but anytime 2 or more members get together, we do need to publicly post. That doesn't mean that...
Where and when?
Yes, where and when. So you just need to get that information to me, and I need to make sure, yes.
Wow. So if I run into Essie at a conference in...
If you're discussing ACES business, then yes, we need to know and we need to publicly post.
Formally, not casually.
Right. If you're at a social gathering and you show up there, then that's not necessary.
Okay. During ACES.
If we were planning on getting together, I think this was just saying we need to let them know so that they can post it.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And is there like 24 hours minimum?
Yes,
No,
24, that's what it says in the guidebook, absolutely.
Thank you. Remember, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
I thought it was 3 or more.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. All right. Thank you. Adjourn for the night.
Thank you. Sorry to hold you over.
Good, thank you for getting that in.
Thanks so much for reading all the notes. That was a long one. I know.
I was so already.